Welcome to this very special event that marks the second event of our fall 10th anniversary celebration series. This year marks the 10th anniversary of the launch of the Global Centers, with our first two centers in Beijing and in Amman, Jordan. We have created 10 events on campus. This is the 7th in total. Tonight's event is really a magnificent event about the city of New Delhi, and it will explore how the city of New Delhi, which is ranked as the world's most polluted national capital in terms of air quality, is addressing its environmental pressures, which have resulted from explosive urban expansion. It's also a special event because it marks a new partnership for the center in Mumbai with the Aga Khan Trust for Culture.
So today's lecture is part of a larger programmatic focus by the Mumbai Center on Environment and Sustainability. And we are focusing today on Delhi, India's capital, which is one of the fastest growing cities in the world that crossed 25 million in the year 2017 from just about 400,000 in 1901. I want to present to you through poetry and verse two perspectives on the city by two poets in two historical moments. So the first verse that I'm going to cite for you comes from Amir Khusro. He is considered the father of Urdu literature. So writing in the Matnavi in the 13th century, and this is translated by Yusuf Saeed. And in this poem, the Noor-Sipir, he wrote, when speaking of India, how lovely is winter in India, that turns home into a garden. Never is winter's frozen lock of ice. Fists never remain clenched from the cold. Wide fields never short of green, trees never naked of leaves, air never bereft of the chirping of birds, nor the garden deserted of sounds. Okay, fast forward, different poem, 2017. And this is kind of an anonymous writer, and this is also about winter, and it's also about Delhi. And it says, no one noticed when the sparrows left. It was just another smoggy winter morning. People drove their cars, dropped their children off at air-conditioned schools where they learned pollution is a bad thing. It was just another smoggy winter morning. So to create new infrastructure to accommodate the city's expansion, both green and blue infrastructure has paid a huge cost in the development of Delhi. And though Delhi has been active to remain green, right now Delhi is facing a lot of pollution, groundwater depletion, and microclimate-based changes. And conservation organizations have advocated that urban greens could be used as a strategy not to just maintain biodiversity, but also to provide ecosystem services for urban areas in general. So what we're going to learn about today is a site called Sunder Nursery. And this is a very iconic site. It represents this most amazing natural heritage and diversity, but it's also an icon of cultural diversity. And the Mumbai Center is very pleased to be partnering with the Aga Khan Trust for Culture in this new initiative, which will focus on a series of knowledge interventions, including public education programs and documentation initiatives that will have the potential to generate internships and faculty partnerships as well. And representing the Aga Khan Trust for Culture is Mr. Ratish Nanda. Ratish is a distinguished conservation architect and CEO of the Aga Khan Trust for Culture in India. So welcome, Ratish. Really wonderful to have you here.
In a country like India, where there is a lot of divisions across caste, class, religion, a space like a park knows no boundaries. But in all of our parks, in Tajikistan, in Kabul, and all of that, it's basically combination of these three factors. It's heritage, it's emphasis on environment and social economic development. All I can say is, in one sense, the project in Reimagining stands out from all the other Aga Khan Trust for Culture parks because the emphasis is almost equal to all the three things. Sunder Nursery was really created in 1910s to experiment, grow plants for the new British capital of New Delhi. So we are very fortunate that we have about 20 species of trees here which are not found anywhere else in the country, because the British got these from South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, to experiment with them here in the hope of planting these in New Delhi, in a city park in India, in Delhi, most polluted city and so on. What do you do for ecology? And Delhi has unfortunately lost most of its traditional ecology. So they were rich. There was a lot of ridge which has been planted inappropriately with invasive species. There were also the riverine habitats and marshy land, all of which has mostly been lost. And what we aim to do in about 30-40 acres of this complex is to create a demonstration garden, because of the 500,000 school students who come to Humayun's Tomb every year. We hope to be able to attract them into and explain what Delhi's ecology originally used to be. We've been very fortunate that this has been a major breeding ground for peacocks, and what we were able to do is create a continuous linkage or a bird habitat for nesting ground nesting birds such as the peacock. And this is sort of the planting that is happening, and these are some of the various bird species now found here. So we now have about 280 native tree species at Sunder Nursery. It's not something we usually talk about, because landscape architecture is so powerful that most people get taken in by that. We've now been introducing, we've done a GIS mapping of every tree in the complex, and this is really setting standards for how tree mapping, how tree emphasis on local species, and all of that should be done. And it's very promising that a lot of people in government are taking note and trying to replicate this effort in other city parks. And we've just introduced a new butterfly zone. The Asiatic bee, unlike this part of the world, there is not much awareness on the Asiatic bee. So we're now using Sunder Nursery as a habitat for the Asiatic bee. We've got our own hives. And it's incredible that people are calling me saying, I'm feeling very unsafe coming to Sunder Nursery. I understand you have bees. It's a joke. The lack of awareness is a joke. But we hope that will change. And for that we're doing workshops. We have 80 bird species in Sunder Nursery, and a sparrow is not one of them, which is heartbreaking for me. A bird that we all grew up with in our houses all the time, it's just gone in less than a decade. And we've also coupled with Golden Hive Foundation to do awareness on the Asiatic bee. We now have 16 hives in Sunder Nursery, and hope that will multiply. A lot of tree hugging is happening, and children being introduced to vermicomposting, which they clearly enjoy. We have our own farm, because most of our urban children never seen a farm in their whole lifetimes. So they can now come and actually farm and understand how to harvest crops and so on. But more so, it's becoming a place for the community. And community is very wide. People are coming from very far-flung parts of Delhi to really come to Sunder Nursery. And somewhere, I think in the brochure you mentioned Delhi Central Park. And some of you might laugh, because Sunder Nursery is 90 acres, the Central Park in New York is some 800 acres. But it's unbelievable as it may sound. If anybody in Delhi had any great vision, this would be bigger than Central Park, because Sunder Nursery might be one small park, but there is a large uninterrupted green space that includes the 16th century fort that Humayun built, the zoo, which is itself 400 acres, Sunder Nursery, Humayun's Tomb, and the Millennium Park. But unfortunately, these are all managed by different government departments. So you can't really walk in from one end and walk out from the other. You have to, scale the wall of the lion's enclosure in the zoo, which is not a smart thing to do. But eventually, we might get there. And in India, that's very important. Demonstrate that conservation and development really can go hand in hand, need to be part of the same process. It's like a horse and carriage. Proper development cannot be anti-conservation, and conservation well done does not hamper development.
Professor De Vries is Professor of Ecology and Sustainable Development at Columbia. Please have a seat.
So I've been involved with India for several decades, and the pace of urbanization and the expansion of the cities and towns is just mind-boggling. And I'm sure many of you have seen how rapidly places are expanding and cities are expanding daily, and especially the medium-sized towns. And all of that is part of development, but it also means in such an incredible country where there's 1.3 billion people on a land area, 1/3 the size of this country, that how do we reconcile this? And it is such an incredible country in the sense that it's a mega biodiversity country with such a large human population and has such amazing wildlife and has very effectively, relative to many other countries, maintained its wildlife. So how do we reconcile this rapid urbanization with protecting the amazing biological heritage of the country? So part of that is how do we keep the large spaces, the connected spaces that biodiversity needs to thrive in the space of this urbanization. So I'd like to echo one of the comments that Ratish made about how with careful planning and thought, it's quite possible that conservation and development are not opposing concepts, that they actually go hand in hand together. So if there's careful planning about where the urban expansion happens, maintaining green spaces, locating the highways and infrastructures in places which are not critical for maintaining biodiversity, then it's possible to achieve conservation and development together. But it does take forethought and careful planning.